One, I'd like to bring to order this meeting of the Technical Transportation Committee of the Area Plan Commission for Tippecanoe County. Welcome everyone to the meeting today. Glad you're here. The first item of business on the agenda is approval of minutes from the previous meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing there is none, I'll proceed with the vote. All in favor of approving the minutes from our last meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes have been approved. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is access permits.
So NDOT has not had any new applications in the last 30 days for access permits, but maybe just take a brief moment and run through some of the hotter, more controversial ones maybe. So I believe that Jeremy and I, regarding the Steel property site across from SIA, where they're looking for a new entrance off of the eastern traffic signal on 38 and SIA. I think we're both waiting for some feedback from the railroad in order to move that forward. I think we've reviewed plans, but we're still waiting for some information. I think both of us are, to try to wrap that up and issue a permit. So, any comment on that, Jeremy?
No, that sounds accurate.
Okay. The racetrack at 25 Schuyler and I-65, they're going to be doing some improvements on both southbound and northbound exit ramps, and that, if the permit hasn't been issued, it's really close. The plans look really good. So I see racetrack here, applicant to provide revised plans. So we are really close on that one being issued. Again, because of the time of year, I would think that work would not begin until spring. Wawa at 52 and Veterans Memorial. Again, I think our note needs to be updated. That permit has been issued. And again, I think it's just waiting for spring for work to begin. Is that your recollection?
Yes.
Awesome. Hey, Jeremy and I are on the same page. That's really good. So those are three that have been difficult to get them to the finish line, but we're in a good place on all three of those. Beyond that, I will entertain any questions. I know after this meeting we may get into more detail on a few of the other ones, but those three have been around for a while. Questions for me on permits, NDOT permits, commercial drives specifically? Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on with the agenda, the next block of items here are amendments to the TIP. Doug, you're up. For those, I believe you have three items for us to consider today.
Great, thank you. In front of you today, we have three requests to amend the Transportation Improvement Program. The first one is in regards to Bridge 64 and Bridge 65. The projects involve bridge replacement. The change is fairly simple and straightforward, and this was basically my mistake when I was putting the TIP together late last year. I used the incorrect funding amounts, and we are just now changing them to make sure, or actually to put in the correct funding amount. So basically that is all that it is. In the previous TIP, the numbers were correct, so it's basically fixing a Scribner error. So any questions or comments regarding this one?
All right, so we'll need a motion to approve that amendment.
Please.
I'll move to recommend to the policy board.
Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor of this correction to the TIP for bridges 64 and 65, please say aye.
Aye.
I believe that was unanimous, so.
Great, thank you. Going on to the second one, this is a request from the Indiana Department of Transportation for two projects. One is located on State Road 25, and this is the bridge over the Norfolk and Southern Railroad. This is a bridge maintenance and repair project. And the second one is US 231, looking at the 800 South intersection, adding right turn lanes. A side note for the first project, we did receive a couple days ago a emergency request to move this into the TIP, and we are still working with central office to make sure we can actually do this. In our document, we do show the ability to do this, but with NDOT processing TIP amendments and modifications differently now, we wanted to make sure they are okay with this, and we're still waiting for that approval, but we would still like to include this in the amendment just in case that does not occur. So we're asking a recommendation to approve both projects be included in the TIP. Questions or comments?
So
Okay.
move.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second?
So all in favor of these two items together, please say aye.
Aye.
I believe that was unanimous also.
Great, thank you very
Trying to
much.
hear everybody.
Going on to the third and last one, this is a request from the city bus, and it's three parts. The first part is reallocating 2023 Section 5307 funds. As you see in the staff report for the capital maintenance project, they had a budget of $2.5 million. They have done all of the work they needed in that project and wanted to reallocate the balance to three projects, and those are replacement of tires, shop equipment, and bus stop facilities. The last two are new projects. The second part is looking at 2024 Section 5307 funds, and in the capital and preventive maintenance project, they have a pinch over 2.6 million programmed. They would like to pull out 1.5 million and reallocate it to a study called City Bus 2030 Plus. And this is a 5 to 10 year strategic plan looking at the system completely. Of course, the tables showing that are in the TIP staff report. It should be noted that the City Bus 2030 project, this is a planning study, so this project will not be shown in the TIP, but actually shown in another document called our Unified Planning Work Program, and that is due to federal rules. Usually when we have planning projects, we do not show it in the TIP, but actually show it in that document. The third part is rather exciting. If you remember back, we did flex some of our safety funds over to City Bus to do improvements at Paramount Drive and 52. And additionally, the good news is that improvement is going to be pulled in with NDOT's project. And what we are doing is updating the TIP to reflect that these funds will only be used for construction, and the construction year is 2028. So basically, we're just updating those two pieces of information, the phase and the construction year. Would you like to add anything, Brian?
I think you covered it all well, Doug.
Well, thank you. Any additional
He
comments?
comes to the staff meetings, you can tell he's well versed.
And of course, we're asking for your approval to the policy board. Any questions or comments?
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve these reallocations and the inclusion of the other project.
So move. Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion
Great.
passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Looks like you're also next. You will continue at BAT, MPO updates, and then the 18-month letting list.
Great, thank you. So many of you may know that we are currently developing or putting together a new traffic model. And with that, we need to look at a lot of data that is out there in order to make sure the traffic model actually replicates what is happening on the ground. And one piece of information we look at are types of trips, that being basically trips that are associated with work. And then there's several other different types of trips. One that you going from work to someplace else, or you're going from home to, say, grocery shopping. And since we don't have a good travel survey, we really don't have one since the last one was done in the 70s for this area, what we have to do is rely on other surveys. The data we have here is from the National Household Transportation Survey, and the last one was done in 2022. And interestingly, they are conducting the 2025 one right now, so if you do get one, I did, please fill it out and return it. I think we got like $10 for 3 people to do it. So it was pretty neat. But anyway, I have in here, it's highlighted in gray. These trips are basically from the Lafayette, West Lafayette area to the West Lafayette area. And the annual total of trips, 222 million. And then you see to the right, the purpose, you have work trip and purpose non-work trip. If we break that down into a percentage, roughly the work trip is like 29%. So that percentage is a very critical number we look at when we do the, what we'll call the trip generation program of the traffic modeling, because we want to hit that percentage fairly close. I mean, we will have some differences, it won't be exact, but that's a specific number we're looking at. When I did pull down this data, of course, we were limited in terms of the, we had a government shutdown. Now, I just recently looked at it actually yesterday, and there's a lot more data out there that we will be downloading, and I probably will be sending it out just for information only at a later time. It's really neat information because it looks at, with this data, how many other people are going to, other areas in the country. For example, at the bottom, going from our area to Champaign, Urbana, Illinois, you see annually 117,000. And then in Danville, Indiana, 157,000 trips. So, and these are work trips and regular trips. So it's really interesting when you start looking at the data. So just wanted to share this bit of information with you. Any comments?
I'm curious, Doug, with your vast knowledge and experience, can you explain the Los Angeles one? 62,000 vehicle trips, non-work related. Any idea what that data represents?
My guess is that those people, for example, like my son works in Raleigh and his home address is here. So he's I would say probably a good portion of these are like construction, or that you're actually working there but your home address is here. So it's not actually a true trip like you would make every day or once a month or whatnot. So you kind of have to look at the data more closely, as you pointed out, that I can't imagine that many people driving all the time to Los Angeles, but
everything else I could kind of understand. That one just sort of jumped out a little bit.
Of course, there may be people that are wanting to go to Hollywood and just visit too. We could have some musicians and actors living in this area that travel there.
I would fly.
Hey. Okay, I'll go on to the next one. If you may remember, earlier this year we had our Federal Highway, NDOT, Federal Transit Administration certification review. This happens every 5 years. And when we got to the discussion of the Transportation Improvement Program, one note that they had was that our TIP has a older process in terms of looking at amendments and modifications. And at that time, we basically said we are going to go through it and update it completely. Well, we have completed that task, and I'd like to share with you the actual process in terms of, in the future, if this is adopted, how we process TIP amendments, how we process modifications, and then we added 2 new ones if there is an emergency amendment that is needed, and also how we handle Scribner's errors, because that does pop up. For example, the one TIP amendment that we just had recently. So we thought, instead of just asking, for your blessing now and processing it with the policy board next month, we would actually bring it as a note here to give everyone time to review it. We actually did post this on our website today, and it is actually posted on Facebook and Nextdoor, the county pages. So we wanted to make sure that the public is aware of this going on. What we'd like to do is, if we don't receive that many comments or none, start processing this at the next month for policy board adoption in January. But we would like to actually ask, if you have any comments or questions, please review it. We'll be more than glad to answer those. If you just like to throw it out, that's fine. Basically, we started with the state STIP manual and took their process, and then we looked at all the other MPOs, because the state STIP does not include any emergency process to amend that document, and then how to handle Scribner errors. So we actually borrowed some wording from other MPOs that had a good process. Any comments or questions? Okay, and if I haven't put you to sleep yet, we have the 18-month letting list. As you can see, the next project coming up to be let is in December, and that is on US 52. But in January, some exciting news. Of course, the one I always keep my eye on is the State Road 225 bridge, the truss reconstruction and repair. If you remember, we recently had an amendment to increase the cost to over $10 million. I hope that is enough. Following in February, we have the 9th Street project, the first phase of that. Project number 8 in February is a new project, and this is a multiple district project throughout the state. And then project number 9, the North 9th Street Bridge. This is the bridge over the Wabash River to replace the entire deck. So be prepared, the road will be closed. Going down to project 12, this is the first emergency vehicle preemption project, and this will be phase 2, signals west of the Wabash River. We have a new project, number 13, and this is a Crawfordsville District ITS traffic management project. Looking down to project 18, this is on North River Road. This is a safety project that is the county is doing, putting in the reflectors. Project 20 is a new project, refurbished pavement markings. And then project 21 and 22 on the second page, new projects. Both Crawfordsville District ITS device maintenance contracts, and then signing, installation, and repair projects. So we have a lot of good projects coming up, especially local projects. So any questions or comments?
One quick comment about the State Road 225 Wabash River Bridge. It's been so long, just a reminder, if the project sells, it is a deck replacement and rehab to eliminate the weight and speed restrictions that are on the bridge. It will still be a one-lane bridge without restrictions. I think we're all looking forward to that day that it's open again.
Yes.
There are citizens that are not happy that it's taken this long, but finding a contractor that will bid a reasonable amount has been a struggle. So fingers crossed, like you said, that the engineer's estimate is enough. We'll see.
Great, thank you for adding that. Any other comments or questions?
Okay. Thank you, Doug.
Great, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is quarterly reports, and Tim, you have the floor for that.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with the county's projects. So Stu, our first project that we have there is the North 9th Street Road Bridge project. So we just wanted to double check and see if NDOT has approved the environmental document for this project. I know it's been submitted, but has it been approved?
That's okay. Yes, it was, sorry. Yes, and I apologize for not replying to you earlier. NEPA was approved on October 8th.
October 8th? Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you. Glad to hear that. So Morehouse Phase 1, there was a small change in costs from the last report just for some accounting. We also, Stu gave us a note there that final inspection was scheduled for October 9th, which of course has already passed. So is everything good to go with that then?
Yep, we're good to go. Final construction record going in. Should
Okay.
close that one out fairly quickly, and those cost changes were final change orders.
Right.
Balancing
Yep.
orders.
Okay, great. So good news on those first couple projects. Going on to the next page, Morehouse Phase 2. We did not have any particular comments on this. Was there anything you'd like to tell us about this project that we should add to our notes?
They're still working, but to all intents and purposes, it's open to traffic because you can't keep people off the asphalt.
Right.
It's through binder, but it will officially, once they cannot do anything else, it will officially open for the winter. And then we should be able to complete with only some very minor, like 1-week closures for putting the surface down.
Okay, do you have an estimated date of when that would be open to traffic for the winter?
When they can't work anymore.
Okay. Yep.
Basically, when the asphalt plants, they're
Sure.
hoping to get a base course on the trail to protect the sub-base because they're very afraid of that it will wear over the winter and they'll have to rebuild the base. So that's the time frame. They'll keep going as long as the asphalt plants are open.
Okay, great. So Bridge 64, the first of kind of a pair of projects. We did not have any comments on this. Was there anything you'd like to add for our information, Stu?
They are starting to move now that they're getting closer to their letting date. It wasn't reported on the quarterly, but right after that, we got an update that stage 3 was to 30%. And we're anticipating stage 3 submitted by the end of the week and the permits to follow. So we're on track for the 7/14/27 letting.
Okay, great. And then would the same thing apply for, on the next page, Bridge 65, since those are, okay, yep, so that's also on
Yep.
track, yep,
Same pair.
right, okay, great. So then our next one is, and of course, another bridge project, Bridge 527. We did not have any comments on this particular bridge either. Is there anything you'd like to say about that one?
It's just sitting there until next season for the next school closure.
Okay, continuing on with our fun with bridges. We have another pair of Bridge 80 and 83. So we didn't have any comments on either of those particularly. Is there anything you'd like to add about either of those two?
Yeah, they were both delayed out to 28, basically with that full 106 requirement.
Yep.
We're they're reporting now 90% on that 106. So we don't anticipate any more problems. We never do.
Okay. So we do think then that 128 letting is the one we're going to be able to hit, yep.
Yep.
And that, of
We're at
course,
90%, but that last 10%.
yeah. Okay, so then our next one is North River Road, from West Lafayette city limits to I-65. So this one is a smaller project. So it seems like it is moving, but it is the design's supposed to be finished this month. So are we going to be able to hit that stage 3 design milestone and then, of course, eventually the letting milestone of July of next year?
Stage 3 went in on October 30th,
Okay,
and so that'll show up on the next report, 100% complete. And we
Okay.
should show major project on the tracings because there's not really much of a difference
Right.
between those, especially on a project like this.
great. All right, well, that's some good news. Glad to hear that that's progressing well. And then, of course, for the county bridge inspections, those are moving along as they always do. So we didn't have anything on that. Do you have anything you wanted to add?
We've been through selection and into contract negotiation for the next 4-year phase. And Doug is helping us get, because NDOT is very concerned that come January, we have the tip.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. So with that, we can go ahead and move on to Lafayette. So our first one for Lafayette is the first of the South 9th Street projects. So we did note that the letting has been shifted back to February, as Jeremy indicated. The right-of-way clear for this project was listed at 0%, so we weren't sure if.
It should be
Yeah.
100%.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay. All right, that's kind of what we suspected, just wanted to double check, so thank you for confirming that,
We're
Jeremy.
currently working and pressing utilities to get started relocating.
Great. Okay, so then our second project is the next part of South 9th Street, Breckenwood to Ortman. So Jeremy gave us a note that the environmental document for this was approved as part of the previous project, as was the right-of-way, so that's what's going on with those. So we didn't necessarily have any comments about this. Looks like we got a good schedule nailed down for this one. Is there anything you'd like to add to the notes on this one, Jeremy?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so moving on to our next page, the sewer portion of the South 9th Street project. So this one did have a change in cost and was moved back a little bit to align with the other projects for the right-of-way purposes. So that, of course, is reflected in this report. Is there anything else you'd like to add to this one?
Nothing else. No.
And then, of course, same thing for the next one, continuing the South 9th Street package of projects. This one's the bridge, and the letting was moved back again a month due to the right-of-way, so same kind of idea. Some costs, of course, got shuffled around with all of these to meet up with the current estimates. I know that's kind of a challenging thing to pin down at this point in the project life cycle, so we understand that that's why all those numbers are fluctuating a little bit. But is there anything else you'd like to add about this one, Jeremy?
Nothing else, no.
All right. So then we have the intersection signal preemption. So our first one then is the Lafayette portion of the project. So Jeremy did note for us that there were no railroad impacts on this one, as well as no utility impacts anticipated, and of course, no right-of-way is required for this project. So this is kind of actually the second phase of this. West Lafayette is going first. But did you have anything you wanted to add on this one, Jeremy?
Nothing else, no.
Okay. And then the intersection signal preemption for West Lafayette, this is still listed under Lafayette because they had initially been filing the reports, but I know it's switched over to West Lafayette. And Jenny had some confusion about that. I think we've sorted through that. Did you want to add anything else about this one, Jenny?
I do
About the West
not.
Lafayette phase, yeah.
I do not, other than they're working on a couple of extra intersections, some equipment for those intersections. So these estimates are going to probably adjust up a little bit.
Okay. All right, great. Yes, we do appreciate everyone's patience as we try to sort out who should be actually filing those reports. We know that sometimes, we're all kind of working through multiple entities, so sometimes it takes a little bit to sort that all out. So then kind of continue with West Lafayette for Soldiers Home Road Phase 1. So we are continuing to monitor this project by attending I guess they're now monthly meetings. So do we have final environmental document approval from NDOT for this, or are we still waiting on that?
Yeah, we're still waiting.
Okay, I think I did see an email that gave an estimated date. Is that accurate, or?
I have not seen that email as of our meeting yesterday. There was no date.
You're still waiting for, NDOT central office.
Doug, could we have you at the mic?
The information we were given was that the basically final document was submitted to central office on October 7th. And the consultant followed up with that and sent an email several weeks after that, did not get a response. They did send another follow-up email here, I believe it was yesterday. And the person that was to review this basically stated, oh, we haven't got to it yet, but they should receive final comment or comments back by basically Friday, so.
Wonderful. I hadn't seen that email yet, so
Oh.
thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, thank you for following up on that, Doug. Okay, so then the next one is the westbound 52 special ramp intersection with Soldiers Home Road. So we did not have any comments about this. I know it's tied to the previous project. Do you have anything you wanted to add on this one, Jenny?
Nothing further on that.
Yep. Okay. All right, going on to our last page. So this is Phase 2 of Soldiers Home Road from Hamilton to Calbear. This one is still pretty far out in the future. So we didn't have a lot of comments on this one. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Jenny?
I do not.
And then the very last one is the Sagamore Parkway Trail. So we did note there was a small change in costs reported. Are all of the purchase orders closed out, or is there still one or two that are open?
I think there's one or two still lingering. We're waiting on a couple invoices.
Okay, well, thank you. We will continue to monitor that, and we appreciate the update on that. Okay, so that concludes all of the quarterly progress reports. Thank you to all our LPA engineers for the opportunity to discuss these and give some clarifications on what's going on. So thank you all for that. Turn it back over to you, Dr. Dunstan.
All right, thank you, Tim. So we've reached the point in our agenda where we will entertain other business that anyone has to bring before this committee. Okay, there appears to be none, so we move on to open space. Oh, sorry.
So I'm an exchange student from Germany and I study at Purdue. There we go. I study at Purdue and I brought my bike to university and back, and I have to cross Harrison Bridge every day. And I was wondering, because there were repairments, but they did not do like the signage of the roads new. And I think, because I'm not going to travel with my bike over the pedestrian bridge from like Greenbush Cemetery to university, and I have a roommate who is biking to university as well, and I just was wondering if there are any like visions about the bridges crossing Rubbish River or maybe crossing the railroads in the near future. And sometimes I go to the park right behind the railway, and I need to cross like the railway beneath on 9th Road. And I was wondering, when you replace the bridge, is that taken into account like pedestrian and the safety of bicyclists or not?
So your first statement about using the Harrison Bridge, there was some paving done there recently, is that you're asking if those pavement markings are going to be put back?
Yeah.
That were, yeah.
Or like improved signage, like that bicycles are going to share the road for like parts of the bridge. And even like there are some pavements which are not in a good shape right now, right on the like bicycle lane. And that could have been included maybe when you were working on like the vehicle lanes.
There were sharrows originally, and there are still sharrows on the bridge. When the repairs were done, it was just the contractor's responsibility to replace the centers. And we did not update paint on that bridge this season because of the structural work. So I would assume that the sharrows would be freshened up next season. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And about the 9th bridge replacement? Is it going
which
to
bridge or-
change the section, like the part of 9th Street crossing the rail underneath, going north to community corrections?
Oh, okay. Just right there by Greenbush, the underpass
Yeah.
of the railroad.
And the Greenbush 9th intersection does not even have like traffic lights for pedestrians?
Yeah, that is something that is on the on the radar for us to fix soon.
Yeah.
Upgrading that intersection for pedestrians. The underpass is not on a list to improve anytime soon. We could possibly take a look at how it's marked, because we do have trail. Once you get north of there, then there's trail.
Yeah.
And we would like to be able to connect that to downtown in some meaningful way, not just leave bike riders to, use a travel lane without any kind of pavement markings or signage. So
I feel like you're doing well on bicycle lanes and like pedestrian like paths, but there are some very important connections missing from time to time where I ride my bicycle and I'm suddenly on a big highway or a road I don't feel comfortable riding my bicycle.
yeah, if you would stay around after this meeting, I'd like to get your contact information so we could talk about those connections that you're talking about. I will say that when we do new projects, we are taking into account our bike and pedestrian master plan. So if there's an element in that plan to add a trail or to add sidewalks or bike lanes, we are building those with each project. So I would like to know what your comments are about, specific connections, because we also, with our bike and pedestrian committee, we have looked at the overall plan and came up with some hot spots, and we are working toward those particular hot spots, because we can't build all of it at one time, but yet we are trying to focus on areas that would be meaningful.
And are you still monitoring like the program from 2015? You set up the bicycle and pedestrian master plan. How are you monitoring it, or is like the community still involved in this process?
We have a bike and pedestrian committee in Lafayette. I believe West Lafayette also has a similar committee. And so they have their own plan. We have our plan. We talk about it I believe that's every 2 months. And we also, at those meetings, we allow for comment at the end of the meeting, whether it's somebody from the public or anybody on the committee. We have like a 2-minute, you have 2 minutes to, give your comments, and we take those into account in our projects, in our planning. We're also looking at updating that particular plan because it is getting old.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We just point out one other thing, that the Harrison Bridge is in our 10-year plan, for a redac. And when that happens, it's probably going to be our intent, will be part of the design process. We'll work with the cities on what we can do to get the bike lanes off out of the travel lane and do a separated multi-use with rail separations, an improved situation, but that's a lot of money. Right, Bill?
But it's a good idea to have separation when we can.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Thank you for bringing those concerns to the committee, and thank you both for the comments and response and the follow-up offer there. Are there any other comments from citizens? All right. Being none, we move on to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I move we adjourn.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I think that's unanimous. I declare this meeting adjourned till next month.